Our next presenter is Chen. Comes to us from Emory University. This summer was working with Haiying Jian, and Sheri Mickelson. C's project is titled Containerization of Simulation Applications for Frequently Rerun Configurations. Take it away.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chen, and I'm a PhD student in computer. So it's on? Oh.
Yes,
yeah.
it is.
Okay. You cannot hear? Or?
Yes.
It's all, okay. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Chen. I'm a PhD student in computer science at Emory University. So today, I'm going to talk about containerization of simulation applications for frequently rerun configurations. My mentor is Haiying Jian, and Sheri Mickelson. Okay, first, let's start by why we need containerization. Because we know that science applications are very powerful, but meanwhile, they need to have very complicated dependencies and may run on heterogeneous architectures. So it turns out that installation and building the process is not a trivial task for both the developers and the users. So our project goal is reproducibility and portability. So that is why we need containerization. Containerization is a software development that can insuperate all the things that application needs, like the files, libraries, and all the environment, so that we can run the containers on any infrastructure. So in this talk, I will try to answer 4 questions. What is a container? And how to build containers? How to use container in HPC environment? And also how to help application developers. So specifically in this work, we focus on the application called CM1, that is a cloud model. Okay, first, what is a container? So this graph shows the application development deployment model in the computer system. The lowest level is the infrastructure that is hardware, and above it is the operating system. So traditionally, the applications is built directly on the operating system. However, if we want to use it on another operating system or on other hardware, then we need to install the whole things like the dependencies and environment again. So that is a hard work. However, with the containers, things become easy because the containers does not have the guest operating system. It's very lightweighted, and it only has the runtimes like the binaries and the libraries. And with the container engine as the interface, we can talk with the operating system and allocate the resources that we need so that the containers can be run in any infrastructure. There are 2 main concepts. So one is image. The image is a static file that includes all the environment. We can think of it as a disk. And the other concept is runtime. So it's dynamic instance that is running is a process. So we can think that we are playing the disk. Right now, the most widely used container platform is Docker. Okay, so how can we build containers? The most basic way to build Docker image is from Dockerfile. Dockerfile is like a recipe that includes all the things we need. So this is an example of Dockerfile. It has some syntax and keywords that we can build. For example, the from is that we need to build it from a base image. And with the copy, we can also like copy the files from host systems to the image. And with the run, we can install the packages and libraries. And we can also set the environment and set the entry point. So that is a script that will run at the beginning of the container. So in this case, we can build the Docker image layer by layer. And you can see that all these layers are cached. That means that we can reuse the layers that we built before. Okay, so now there is also comes a problem is that if we have so many packages installed, then sometimes the image will become very big. In my case, my Docker image is like 70 gigabytes. So if I run that image on the Casper, it still takes some time to set up. So there is a strategy to solve this problem. It's called the multi-stage container. So with this, we can only copy the important part into our lightweighted container, like the base image and the runtime libs, and also maybe the executable files. So with this process, we can greatly shrink the size from like 70 gigabytes to 400 megabytes. So that is a great improvement. Okay, so now I will show how to build the image with commands. Since later I want to upload my image to the Docker Hub, so I set my Docker image name like this. The first with the Docker Hub account, that is meditates, and then slash the repository name, that is CM1, and then colon, then the tag name. Tag name is the version of the image, so I name it Spack. So in this case, I can build the image, and also I can use the Docker run to run the container. So this part is all in my local computer. And later I can push my image into the Docker Hub. The Docker Hub is Docker's official cloud-based registry that is for Docker images. It has a very huge number of official image and also the private image. So here, this screenshot, I show that in my account in the CM1 repository, I have already uploaded several versions of my image. Okay, so now comes to the important part. How can we efficiently install packages? Because we know that the science codes rely on large dependencies of libraries, and each have different versions and configurations, and also maybe have different compilers. So how can all these come together within the same computer and does not have any conflicts? So here we use Spack. Spack is a package manager. It can customize the package versions and configurations, and also we can customize the dependencies. So we know that there is also a method called environment. If you use Python, you might know that you can set up the conda environment. So here, Spack also has this property. So we can group some packages with specific versions that we like into our environment. Then if we activate that environment, then we do not need to load it one by one. It will load it back for us. So it's very convenient. Okay, so this command is how Spack install packages. Here is very straightforward that we can set the package name with its versions, and how we compile it, we can set the compiler version, and also maybe we need some variants and customize the dependencies. Okay, so if we do not need some packages, we also can unload like this. And if we need to use some packages from the whole system, then we need to load it, load some versions of packages that we like. Okay, so this is both for the packages and the compilers. But for compilers, there is an extra step because we need to tell the system that this packages is not normal, it's compilers. So we need to add the compiler's information into the Spack YAML file to tell the system that this is compilers. Okay, so how can we use the containers in HPC system? Just now we talked about the Docker container, but actually we could not directly use it in the HPC system because the HPC systems have some security reasons, because we do not want everybody have the root rights to operating the stuff. So we can use Singularity containers. Singularity containers have similar concept. It also have the images and also the runtime. And we have several ways to build the images. So in this project, we use a simple one to build image is to build from the external repository that is from the Docker Hub. So just now we have already built our Docker image and uploaded to the Docker Hub. So now we can transfer this into a Singularity image. Then we can use it on our HPC system. Okay, so now I will talk about how to do this process on the HPC cluster. So first we can build the image, and we use the Singularity build, and that is from the Docker image. And here we set a flag that is -s fixed perms. So with this flag, we can the system can delete container directory if we do not need it. So we can have its correct permission. The second step is build application CM1. So we use the Singularity execute. So here I also give two important flags. So like the -nv is enable the nv HPC environment. And for the -bind, this is very important because we do not want to copy all the files into the image. But with this bind flag, we can mount the host files into the container system. So the container can see the files outside, but do not need to copy it. The third step is submit the CM1 job. So here we use the QCMD command. So that is interactive job submission. Okay, so the last part is how to help applications development. Just as Haiying said, that we can use the CI/CD workflow to test this. So here I also use GitHub Action, and whenever a pull request comes in, it triggers all the workflow. So we set the self-runner on the Casper and check out the new CM1 code and use the Singularity environment to set up the environment and then build the CM1 and submit the job. Here I show a screenshot of the GitHub Action workflow results. So I tested 3 jobs. So 2 of them are the containers. So one is with the Intel compiler and the OpenAPI, and one is with the NVHPC compiler and the OpenAPI and the CUDA. So these 2 jobs all work fine. And also I tested a job that without containers, that is using the modules on the Casper directly. So whenever the CM1 code have changed, it triggers this workflow, and these 3 jobs can work smoothly, automatically. Okay, for the next step, I plan to build more general containers, and it could run on both Caspers and Derechos. And also, I plan to experiment more multiple MPage and NVHPC versions of containers. And I also want to validate and compare the result of these containers. Okay, so in this summer, I have learned a lot, like how to build the Docker container, how to build the Singularity container, and using the Spack, and also learn how to debug the install error and compiler errors. So thank you so much for my mentors, like Haiying, Xu, and Jian, and also the Sheri, and also my technical support brain. So also answer a lot of questions of mine. And thanks the SIParCS organizer. Without you, I will never have this wonderful summer experience. Thank you. I'm good for the questions.
I have one question from the online audience from Nihan Cherakuru. Thank you. In your opinion, based on this experience, what would you say are some of the challenges, pros and cons of using Spack for package management?
So if the Spack installation is successful, then it's very easy and convenient. But sometimes you will meet some problems, like sometimes the network is not still. So when you install, then it will stuck there. And sometimes it has some strange errors. So in that case, maybe you need to, maybe it's better to install from the beginning. But we can first try Spack. So Spack, because it can handle most of the versions together.
Nicely done. In your future work, you had mentioned creating more general containers to run on both Casper and Derecho. Do you have any specific things in mind that you would want to generalize in those containers?
So I will set when I install the Spack package, I will set the targets to be more general versions of the architecture.
Yeah, the architecture target.
Yeah, yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you for the presentation. It was great. My question is like, so I'm more familiar with Conda for package management. So my question is like, how is that different from Spack?
I do not remember the exact difference, but kind of like the Spack is more stable with versions. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any more questions?
All right. Thank you, C.